Real good boys know that they have to be good to the planet, which is why we drink Fiji water. Since 2022, Fiji water's 330 milliliter and 500 milliliter bottles have been produced with 100% recycled plastic.
That's hot.
You know what's even hotter? The aquifer Fiji water originates from is a sustainable source and will continue to replenish as the rain and water cycles persist in the islands of Fiji.
You're right. That is hotter.
Visit your local retailer to pick up some Fiji water today and give yourself a Good Boy Gold Star for helping protect our planet. After all, Fiji water is Earth's finest water.
Good boys.
It's amazing. What are we talking about now? Station
Sorry,
11.
Also,
This is Good Boys, the podcast.
Good boys love Station 11.
And also Ocean's 11, it seems, because
Yeah.
I'm just switching those up like they're the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Station 11. Look, this isn't TV corner, but I'm going to tell you this.
Yeah.
It made me feel so desperately uncomfortable.
Yeah.
In it, but it was a fantastic show.
Mm-hmm.
But every moment of it, my skin was crawling,
Mm-hmm.
my heart was expanding, I was crying, I felt unsafe. Like there was so many emotions, and then also joy and lots of things.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it made you feel this. It made me feel like, what's the point of anything? Almost. You see how once everything's stripped away in that
Yes.
world, and they're just walking, and they're just like living off the earth and like connecting with people and all this stuff. And like, look at us out here, like, I don't know, doing all this shit. Like, to what end?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel that like existential kind of when you see things boil down to like what matters at the end of the day is human connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel that way. I love Station 11. I think they fucked up two things.
Tell me.
I think one thing was in their control, one thing was not.
Also, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, maybe skip ahead 30 seconds. Go.
Oh yeah, maybe I don't know. I could talk about this for a while, maybe more than 30 seconds. I think it should have been called something else, which I understand it was a book. Or maybe it was just the book within the thing. The reason I say that is because I've known about the title Station 11 for quite some time now, and I've just completely put it off in my head of something that I wanted to watch because I assumed it was some kind of local firefighter. Like Station 19 is the Grey's Anatomy firefighter spinoff. So I hear Station 11, I thought it was some like soap opera-y firefighter show. So I didn't even like pay it any mind. That's the one thing I think they control. This is also just my unprofessional opinion.
Please.
The second thing, they could not control this. They released a show about the pandemic in the middle of a pandemic.
Straight up.
And so a lot of people were, and I know that's why they didn't get the original viewership in the time that it released, because people were like, I'm dealing with this in real life. I'm not wanting to watch a show about this. I watched it this past year. Brilliant, amazing. I don't think I would have wanted to watch it like in 2020. But it's like one of Britt's favorite things, and she was like, we have to watch it together. And like, I like Mackenzie Davis. She's great. But yeah, the show's so awesome. But I think those two things were why.
Yeah.
I think it would have gotten a lot more fans.
I agree.
I don't know.
Maybe that's why I felt so uncomfortable, because I did watch it in the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was just too much for me to handle.
Yeah. It was so
Damn.
Beautiful. Really great
Oh my
storytelling.
God. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That scene where they like reunite, you know?
I know.
It was
But
too
then when
much.
they just go their separate ways.
I know, but isn't that beautiful?
It is beautiful, but I really didn't want that to be what happened.
Yeah. It reminds me of just like the circle of life, you know, just like people come into your, what do they say? People come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Yes, I do feel this way.
My girlfriend tells me this. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, I have like.
What do you think I am to you?
Oh, that's interesting. Well, because if I say for a reason, does that imply not a lifetime?
I don't know. It does? You can only be one of three? Huh.
A reason is like for a lesson to finish completion. A season is like a chapter of your life. And a lifetime is like they're someone who you will ebb and flow and grow together with.
Oh. Then if I had to guess, I'd say a season or a lifetime.
I think so.
Because I was originally thinking a reason. It was like, well, I needed a job. So like that.
Well, that
feels like a
sucks.
reason.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I haven't heard of these three tiers before that we've just laid out: reason, season, or lifetime. But I do believe that like people, this comes off cynical, and I don't mean this way. I'm such an interpersonal person, and I value human connections more than anything in the world. So I don't want to come off kind of cold when I say this, but I do think people especially friends, are there to serve a purpose sometimes, and sometimes that purpose expires, or sometimes they're only there because of proximity, and sometimes that proximity expires. When you think of like your high school friends, like, yeah, those were my high school friends because that's who I went to school with and who I happen to be in the same zip code as, but like, are they necessarily the people in my life right now? No. And that's okay. I think my college friends and your neighbors and whatever. And so, and I think that sometimes we feel really bad when those relationships expire, and we want to boil it down to a reason, or try to make them last longer than they naturally would. And sometimes I'm like, hey, I think it's okay to kind of let that one naturally expire. We live on different sides of the country now. We don't do the same things. We don't have the same values. Like, kind of let that thing go, and like appreciate it for what it was, and like be super happy that it happened when you needed it to happen. But other than that, let things be, kind of thing.
I do agree with that. And this is going to sound really geeky. I was trying to look it up to show you, to make sure I wasn't trying shit. But yeah, so there's something called a Dunbar number. Have you ever heard of that?
A Dunbar number?
Yeah.
No.
And I read this the other day, and it was in the terms of AI. And so, but then I realized the original meaning of the word came from this idea, which I'm going to read out right now, which is basically, so the Dunbar's number is a suggestive, no wait, okay, reset. The Dunbar's number is a suggested cognitive limit to the number of people with whom you can maintain a stable social relationship.
Oh my God.
And so essentially, so let me just break that down. It essentially means each individual human, you can only stay connected to a certain number of people. And that number cannot expand cognitively.
Yeah.
So ultimately, if someone is added in, pretty much someone has to leave. And I think that like that is an interesting concept to me, because as we, these people that have like 1,000 million friends.
Is
it you?
I like that. I don't think it's me, because I do think that and sometimes I feel bad of it. I do shove one out to let another one in, but there is somebody in my life who does not do that, who could.
Understood. Okay.
Who's
I wonder what the
maintain
number
1,000 friendships at once, and I'm like, girl.
Okay, here we go. I'm going to tell, maybe people are not interested in this, but I'm going to quickly say. So these are the numbers. So your closest relationships that you can have, closest, 5.
Okay.
Then good friends, 15. Overall friends, 50. And then total meaningful relationships, you can have no more than 150 people that you just have in your general wider circle.
Yeah.
And when I think about that, which feels like a lot, but then if you strip it down to your day-to-day life, really that means you should have 15 good friends.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that if you do that, you're a lucky human. But 5 closest friends, do you think you have 5 people that you constantly stay in touch with?
Yeah, for sure.
You have more than that?
I have more than that, but like there's different, like, again, different like, for instance, so the first group I think of, I'm like, I have my group chat with my trans mass comedian friends, and there's off the top like 6 or 7 of us in there.
Great.
Whatever. And to me, I'm like, that's who I go to with like when I need to complain about something, when I want to talk about trans stuff, when I want to talk about comedy stuff, because there's so many check marks you can. But then I have like my best friends who are also like, my best girlfriends who are also Brit's girlfriends, who like I really go to for like other things, and who I love hanging out with, but maybe I'm less vulnerable with. I don't know. There's like these different relationships, but that does feel correct to me. Is this inclusive of family members, or is this strictly?
I think so, because it's your capacity for any close relationship. So I feel like
yeah. Interesting, because also I've got such a big family that I'm really close with too, cousins and.
But it makes sense to me. It's like, how can you? Yeah, when I think of 150 people, it's just so much. It's so many.
It's
people.
a wedding guest list.
It's a.
You know what I mean?
It's actually more than our potential wedding guest list.
Yeah,
I think we have 120.
You're keeping it tight.
Well, 120 people, so many people.
I know.
So expensive too.
I know.
I don't know. We're trying to distill it down. It's super hard. And then it's like you want everyone to bring a +1, but then
you
anyway,
know what you got to do? No
me.
kids.
No kids.
Don't let anybody bring kids.
No kids for sure. No, sorry, no kids except like my niece.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Because that's like Flower Girl.
Yeah.
So I appreciate this, because sometimes I've been wanting to talk about this, and I think I need to talk about it in therapy, but I feel bad sometimes I'm like, I know that I'm not, but I'm like, am I a sociopath in that, like, I'm just so okay with letting certain relationships and friendships just end. And of course it's sad sometimes, and sometimes it's due to really dramatic reasons like a falling out, or like, even though I don't really have a lot of conflict in my life, but sometimes I'm like, I feel bad because, for instance, Britt has such a close relationship with like her friends from high school, her sorority friends, her friends from college who weren't in her sorority, her friends from like 5 jobs ago, every job she's ever worked, she has a friend group that she like has game nights with, dinner night, like they have these things and these traditions. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of it comes from like my coming out, and like when I came out as queer, of course, some people kind of like shed off, but also like when you graduate, when you move to a new town, when you have political differences. And so I do have a lot of, when I think of like who were my 5 people 4 years ago, that's a different 5 people than it is now. And sometimes I get down on myself of like, is that on me? Should I have taken better care of those relationships? Should I, that kind of thing. But I feel like this theory is kind of affirming me that this is kind of a natural thing to happen, and it's okay. Because sometimes I'm like, I don't think I'm a bad friend. I think I'm a good friend.
No, I mean, look, I think you're a great friend. But I think I'm so glad we're talking about this, because I think too, you're so right. I mean, I can't speak for Brit, but I think that definitely through transition and change and coming out, you sort of, I've ended up sort of reinventing myself. I hate that word, but sort of and so it's really tough to maintain those friendships because you just feel so different, you know? Like I'm still in a group with some girls from school, and it's like the girls group, and they're so sweet and really wonderful, and they've kept me in the group, you know? But I know I'm so different from them, and they still love me, but it's just a very different energy, and they're doing different things with their time. And, you know, I think sometimes I'm like, God, they think I'm crazy, you know what I mean? Because we're talking about very different situations and they're with their kids and whatever. So I think it's just natural. And I wonder if there's a gender thing in here too, that like, I mean, my girlfriend's the same. She just has so many wonderful friends around her from different areas of life. And I feel way more, like lone wolf, which are, you know what I mean? Like I'm super chill too, like chilling in by myself, and I actually enjoy that. And sometimes I feel bad about that, and I'm like, should I have like a big group of like guy friends that we do like guy stuff with? I mean, the trans mass group that you talk about, that sounds amazing. That sounds really cool.
It's really awesome. But no, like what you're saying is true. Like Britt has multiple times throughout our relationship and like, who's your best friend? And I'm like, does she think I don't have any friends? Like, she asks me because I don't have any friends.
You're like my mom.
Yeah, well, my mom is my best friend, but yeah, but then I'm also like, I don't know, I don't want to assign best friend to someone. What if I'm not their best friend? Like, these are my like I have friends, but like, I don't know, there's
definitely people I think that I would that I would do more. I would do more for, and I think would do more for me. And if I was in a position of like feeling panicked or vulnerable, then I would like reach out for help, I think. But to be honest, that's so recent. I think that's a real growth thing for me too. Of there's something about, I mean, we talked about this on the Bobby Manuez episode, but this thing about like, I'm super masculine, I don't need anyone, you know what I mean? So like I'm a lone wolf, and I can, you know, get by myself, and I'll never need help, you know? I think that was a bit of my rhetoric that I would repeat to myself, and now I'm slowly being like, actually, one, you know, I can have like new female friends that are friends. That's been like interesting for me as well, because I'm like, it doesn't need to be a dude or a non-binary person. Like it can be an attractive female. We can just be friends.
No uggo friends though.
Say. That's not what I meant. We have to take that back. That's not what I meant. I just mean that, like, I think often
without it
it's
being
tough.
Romantic.
Like we were talking about it yesterday with a group of friends. Like, you know, how do you meet friends in the city? Because you go to these events and you're like, I'm like, hey, I'm Kylo, and they're like, you're hitting on me, right? And I'm like, no. You know. Yeah,
totally.
Like, how do you? Anyway.
No, I totally get that. Also, another thing I think about friendships for me, and you kind of touched on this, I think for me, I've always been this way, so I don't think it's a masculine thing, because I was this way when I was like a girl. But when something like, if I get in a fight with someone, which also just like never happens, but if something happens at work, or I get in somebody pisses me off, or someone hurts my feelings or something, I am not ever really looking for any kind of external help or guidance on that, I'm very much okay with handling it on my own. Like if something happens where like Brit's a good example, maybe she'll kill me for it, but like if something happens in her life, even if it's conflict, if it's good, if it she loves to go to her girl group chats to get that kind of external validation of either like, I just got this text, is this crazy, or like, am I reading this wrong, what's this person's like that kind of thing. Maybe she will kill me for saying that. I think that's a normal thing that people do. A lot of people do that. I don't really do that until it reaches a point where I need external help on it. But usually I tackle that on my own, and I think maybe that closes me out from forming closer relationships with people, because a lot of
like being vulnerable in that sense.
But I'm vulnerable public, and I always go back and forth on that because I'm so publicly vulnerable that I just assume that people understand they have vulnerable access to me, but maybe it needs to be given individually. But I'm never like, ooh, I got this text and I don't, can you help me craft a response to it or something, like it's, I just never am needing that.
Andy Dunn, you know Andy Dunn? Mm-mm. He's the founder of Bonobos. New Bonobos? It's a really cis man brand. But anyway, he's a great founder. The reason I love him is because he was very vulnerable, and he wrote a book called Burn This. I hope that's right. Essentially talking about his bipolar disorder, and it's really vulnerable and open. Anyway, he started a new company to create friendships, especially around men, I believe. But he spoke about a study that they did around what creates really intimate friendship. And the two things are, one, to hang out with in a group setting with a person 5 to 7 times. Okay. And you exchange independent, like you exchange one-on-one vulnerable moments. You know? So I think you're probably hinting at the right thing, that like once you do that with someone and they do it back, you have like this like connectivity around it. Yeah. But I bet you are doing that.
Yeah. I definitely don't think I'm not doing it at all. I just think maybe I could be doing it more, and maybe in a more long lasting way.
I think I'm also quite harsh too, because I'm like, I have this thing where I'm like, the way you do anything is the way you do everything, you know? And so like, I think people show you, I have quite a strong view that people just show you their behaviors with their actions almost. And I tend to really reflect that. So I'll like come in with a new friend, I'll come in really open-hearted, super like, you know, we can potentially be best friends and I'm here. But then if they like do some sort of behavior that makes me think that they don't want that, or you know, they hurt me in some way, or it doesn't make me mad. I don't like reach for help either from somebody, but I just clock in my brain, I'm like, noted. That's no worries, that's that.
I think I do something very similar,
and I'm like, we're that kind of friend, but we're not that kind of friend. You know what I mean? And so, and I'm fine with it, I'm totally cool, but I'm like, that's fine. But I wonder whether that's a little thing that we should work on. Maybe the stronger thing to do, the more vulnerable thing to do, would to be like, hey, like that hurt my feelings, or hey, like
which you'll never catch me doing.
No. Me neither.
No, and like, I should because people should do that. I had a friend recently do that for me. They were like, hey, this thing that you did made me feel this type of way. I just want you to be aware of it. And while, of course, because you always want to be a good person, I was so appreciative of that, because otherwise I would have just carried on about my life without realizing that, and potentially not have the opportunity to apologize and then like fix it. You know what I mean?
Totally.
And so I really appreciated that. And I was like, damn, if only I could do that, I might have more of less, maybe some of the people who are no longer my friends would still be my friends. Yeah. But I don't know. But then like, I think it's also up to the person receiving that kind of message to, you know, I was immediately like, I am so sorry. It won't happen. Like, your feelings are valid, like doing all the right things.
Yeah. We're going to get into this, but I'm so glad we got into this.
Yeah.
We should, I made it my objective this year. What month are we in? September. Yeah. I made it my objective this year to form some really like, what is the word? Diverse, like it might, maybe I should change this now knowing the Dunbar thing, but a sort of diverse set of friends, so that, you know, I have my really close friends that I'm vulnerable with, which I think I have. And then I have like some friends, some like queer friends to party with, and some, you know, I don't know, friends to go to the tech conferences that I go with, and like, you know, but I wonder if that's even the right objective, you know?
Yeah.
And people shouldn't be my understanding of that was one person or one group of people should not be everything to you. And you said this earlier, they shouldn't be everything to you.
Yes,
We're multifaceted, right? We're multifaceted people.
Yeah.
Brit, you know, helps you in a certain way. Your mum helps you in a certain way. Your friends help you in a certain way, and that's just what it is.
Yeah.
And so having a more three-dimensional, well-rounded, like community around me is what I was trying to do, and I feel like I'm slowly, that objective slowly being met, which I'm happy about.
That's cool. I think my next step for friendship, as it pertains to also like transition, is being more intentional about friendships with cis guys, especially in the comedy community. There's so many really cool, accepting, and like not transphobic, which is a shock, in like the Brooklyn and New York comedy scene. There are so many. I feel so affirmed constantly by a lot of the guys, and where it's like, sure, we have that friendship when we see each other at a mic or a show or a bar hang where it's a group thing, but I'm like not hitting up my cis guy friends to like, because I'm like, I guess maybe I could be like, want to watch the game, like like I guess so, like I don't know, and like maybe more like small group hangs that the girlies aren't at, maybe. I don't know, because I would be interested in forming those relationships. Something interesting happened. I was at a show the other day, and a cis guy was like asking me for kind of like girlfriend advice, and I'm like, I've talked to this guy maybe 3-4 times previously, but like there we were chatting at a bar for like an extended amount of time.
I love that.
About his like relationship. So I'm like, can I be doing this?
I mean, yeah,
maybe not about my relationship, but like about other I don't know. And so I think I want to be more intentional with that, because if I were to identify a gap in like my friend ecosystem, it would be probably more like cis straight guys.
That is not a gap I have, so if you want to come and hang out.
I know that about you. Yeah. Tea time. God damn.
Yeah. Tea corner. This is why I'm not the copywriter. Tea corner.
I like tea corner. Tea time.
What's been the news? Because it's probably been a few weeks since you updated us.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So if I'm thinking about to be 6 months on tea.
No way. That's quick.
Yeah,
that's
because April
quick.
5th was my first shot. So if I just bump it up to October 5th, that's 6 months. I'm trying to think. I'm growing hair on my chest, which is really cool. My ass is so hairy. And listeners, when I tell you my ass crack is just so hairy. Yes, and I knew this was going to happen because my brother has such a hairy ass. I don't know, because, okay, to keep it real, so my brother has always had this like hairy ass, and I know that like some guys just like the cheeks are hairy, the ass crack's hairy, whatever, and I'm always like, that's so fucking gross. Like, how is there not shit on the hair? Like, how is that hygienic? Whatever, blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh, the shit doesn't get on the hair. Like, it's fine. So like, I'm like, okay, I can like stop being so grossed out by cis men for a second, because I'm like, what?
That doesn't happen. Well, I would imagine it happens to
maybe
less cleanly men.
Yeah. Maybe if you're not like taking care, like whatever. Yeah. But I'm like, okay, so that's not a factor. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, it's fine. It's long hairs.
No
like,
way.
Yes.
My hair is so bare. It's like
the
most naked little thing that you've ever seen.
My ass is so hairy. My ass right now is so fat in the most blessed way of saying that, and hairy.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love that has been the starting point. I mean, I know you have hair in other places, but like it's just...
Well, that, and my chest is really getting hairy. I'm getting these like really... left nipples is really weird right now. I'm concerned.
From a hair follicle?
I don't know. I'm gonna find out at 4:15 today.
Oh my god. Okay, yeah. Well, let us know.
My nipple is all swollen and red, and hot and sensitive. Isn't that so weird?
That is weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's been so long since top surgery.
Yeah,
it can't have anything to do with that.
Exactly. My surgeon's like, because I sent it. I'm like, hey, I haven't talked to you in 6 months. Here's my nipple. But that's
and they're like, no.
No, he's so cool. And he was like, I have no concerns about this being a post-op thing, because like you're completely healed. It looks beautiful. Like, also, there's no open wounds. Like, it's completely sealed off, whatever. So and I'll check back in next episode. My hypothesis is it's either an ingrown or like infected hair follicle, or I have breast cancer.
Oh my god. Are you kidding? Wait, sorry. Can you even get breast cancer?
I think I can.
I don't think we can. All the breast tissue has been removed from our
But
breasts.
there's some tissue left over, and both of my parents have had breast cancer.
Is there some tissue left over?
I
No.
think so.
Both of us were completely concaved after that.
But then, but how am I building muscle on my pecs then?
But that's muscle. That's muscle. It's not tissue.
That's true. I could just be. I always go to cancer
Okay.
because I'm scared, and like this is what
Yeah.
this would be like if I didn't have, like if this was my my pre-surgery nipple, and like
You'd be
this
like,
was
breast
happening,
cancer.
I would be like, I need to go get a mammogram. This is a sign of breast cancer.
I feel like, look, I'm not a doctor, so what do I know? But I feel like breast cancer doesn't come in the form of a pussy nipple.
It's not pussy. First of all, it's just
Sorry.
really swollen.
Okay,
and red.
but breast cancer doesn't come in the form of a swollen red nipple, I don't
Sometimes.
think. I mean, it sounds like a hair follicle issue.
It might be.
Anyway, what
We'll
do I
find
know?
out today.
This isn't Doctor's Corner. Let me not get into
I
it.
know, but I think it. Oh, so sorry. The reason that I'm wrapping this into tea time is because it also happened to be. It started presenting on the first day that I had the first day of my period and a shot day in the same day.
Oh, fuck.
So I'm
Okay.
like, my hormones must be fucking fighting each other
Got it.
inside my body.
Yeah.
Between the boy juice and the menstruation.
Right.
So I was like, maybe it's like
Something's
happening in the form of a fucked up nipple.
How's your PMS with those two things coming together?
I don't think even before tea and anything else, I'd never really experienced PMS, not in an emotional way.
Yeah.
For a little bit in 2019, there was a 9-month span where my tits were getting. This is also another reason why huge and swollen and like veiny and throbbing.
Oh my God.
I used to think my boobs were gonna burst,
No way.
and then it just stopped.
Oh.
But other than that, I don't really get cramps. I just get a shit ton of blood. I just have a crazy heavy period, but no other symptoms.
I mean, that's great. I mean, it's, you know,
I guess
it's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Better than being feeling emotionally fucked.
Yeah, at least not in a way that I could identify in relation to my cycle. No.
Okay.
So there's all that. I'm definitely feeling stronger. Still going to the gym. I'm doing my weight training, getting stronger. I finally have like pec definition. I have trap muscles. My voice is getting deeper. I'm growing hair on the outside of my nose.
Oh.
I'm like, for fuck's sake.
I mean, great.
But like up here on on the
Okay.
bridge of my nose, there's hair. My eyebrows are getting bushier.
I mean, you look
What
great.
else? Thank you.
You're looking strong and great.
I'm shaving every day. I'm shaving my face every day.
No way. Is
Yeah.
it quite meditative?
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
It's a fucking hassle. It adds another like 15 minutes to my morning routine.
Right.
So I have to like adjust that.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would say those are I'm trying to think if there's any. My belly is super hairy. A lot of it is concentrated to just like my little pouch around my belly button, but you can see it's starting to grow up in like my
And
happy
then
trail,
now
and then
the chest and it's gonna meet each other.
I think so. Yeah, I think I'm gonna be a hairy motherfucker.
I think. I think so.
I'm waiting for
I
the
think so
back
too.
to come in because
It's
I'm
gonna be
like,
great.
yeah,
It's sexy.
yeah. So
It's
those are
great.
my updates.
Okay.
What
So,
about you?
well, I don't have any. I barely have any hair. I'm just not hairy at all. I'm still like a seal. So, hope that's coming through. You know what specific though has happened? The pores on my face have expanded.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the texture. Yeah.
Has that happened to you?
Yeah, and that's like a in line with
Okay.
testosterone because men have more oily skin
Okay.
and like bigger pores, and women, I'm doing air quotes for the audio listeners,
Sure.
have like smaller pores and tend to have drier skin.
Interesting.
Like that's usually like the makeup.
Okay.
But this is that you're
This is okay.
in line.
I'm just very slow, but I'm getting there.
yeah,
Do you
you're
know what I
getting
mean?
there. Yeah, that was like
Well-
one of the first things that happened to me.
Okay. Well, what's interesting, I then started using this like chemical exfoliant.
Mm-hmm.
Also, by the way, side note, I'm obsessed with skincare now.
Mhm.
I'm just like super obsessed with every aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have a very specific routine where I'm using Retinol. Do you use retinol?
No, I think maybe.
Okay.
It might be in my cream.
Oh, maybe.
Does that make sense?
It would make sense. Yeah.
Or would it be like a serum?
No, it could be a cream.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I'm using like a chemical exfoliant for my pores. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with big pores. This is just me being obsessive with my skincare. A retinol at night, which like stops the wrinkles.
Okay.
You know, remember I'm a bit older than you. I've got to start thinking about these things. And what else do I use? Like serums and like a double, cleanser and things like this. So I have a very extreme routine now around like bed and morning face care. Because I do feel my skin is getting just a little bit more temperamental. Yeah. Whereas before it wasn't.
Yeah, totally.
So I think that's happening to me, but
yeah, I swapped. I used to have such dry skin, so I was using. I like to call it, because the products I use is like La Roche Posay or whatever, I call it Roach Pussy, because I can't say it and I can't take myself seriously trying to say it. So I went from using the one that's like.
Do you know how nice that brand is? They're gonna be like, what?
Well, I like it and it's expensive. Sorry. Send me for some free ones and I'll say your brand name correctly on air.
Hold on, French producer. How do we say this?
La Roche Posay.
La Roche.
Sounds like Roach Pussy to me.
It sounds like Roach Pussy to me.
So I was buying like Roach Pussy for dry skin, and now I buy Roach Pussy for oily skin. Because the makeup of my skin really changed. So I changed the treatment that I have for it.
If you're not immediately in their commercial, I don't know what's wrong. It's fucking perfect.
It's great. I love it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But the shaving every day is definitely, in addition to the tea fucking up my skin, the shaving every day is also irritating my skin. So I actually have to find a good exfoliant. Maybe I'll take your word for it.
Oh yeah, I'll send you. It's like expensive, but it lasts a really long time.
Cool.
I don't know what make it is, but
yeah,
it's not Roach Pussy.
Can I ask? I don't want to sound it. I think I can ask this.
Yeah.
Is the hair thing, is that like a Jamaican thing, or is it that like a specifically Kylo thing? Like,
I think my dad does not have much hair at all.
Yeah.
So I think that even when I start ramping up my testosterone, I just can't imagine that I'm going to be very hairy.
So just like a genetic thing.
I think it's a genetic thing.
Yeah.
But let me think of all my Jamaican people.
Yeah. What about actually, all Jamaican people?
All Jamaican, but I'm going to say a sweeping statement of all the Jamaican men I know. They don't seem super hairy.
Okay.
I wonder if that's a thing. Yeah, so I think it's a little genetic anyway for my family specifically.
Yeah.
Which I'm fine with.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't decide whether I'm excited about it or whether I'm scared of it or whether, like, you know what I mean? And I think about it from an acting perspective too. Like, I think that's what scares me, and so I try and break away from that a little bit, because I do not want to be influencing my journey anyway for like any kind of job, you know? And I think it's really hard to not do that as an actor, because you're like, well, you know, what is my type? And like, if I start growing hair, what does that mean? And then I can only play X roles. And, you know, it starts getting a bit dicey. And so I try and just completely push it to the back of my mind. And I'm like, what does Kylo want, you know, for himself?
Yeah.
And then
it's
just
all
be
modifiable.
Like, sure. And then I can just be like, what will come for me will come for me.
Yeah.
I don't want to mold, and I feel like I've spent too long in my life like molding and bending myself to like certain things, and now in my 30s I'm just like, fuck it, I'm not doing that. You know?
I don't know, maybe I shouldn't ask this question because you're so at peace with it, but if you could grow all the facial hair in the world, what would you pick out for yourself?
What do you think would suit me? I can't really imagine it.
I'm trying to think.
You know that little Slack emoji that everyone uses?
I thought you were gonna say like that little like a flavor saver. That's what you do.
You know that little Slack emoji of me with facial hair that, you use a lot?
That's like a full. It's
that's
just kind of
beard,
like
right?
a down to a one. Yeah, it's just yeah. So full everything, but
I like to bick my head. I like to like really shave my head close, and I wonder whether like a close head shave and then like a stubble.
yeah
thing could look quite good.
yeah
But I think I'm hoping for too much, because if you're not at stubble stage yet, are you at stubble
I am
stage?
yeah but
You
it's
could.
just patchy, so I get rid of it until
got it,
it's
got
ready
it.
to be full.
Okay. And then
If
you
I
can,
wanted to, I could have a full under the chin beard right now. And it
That's
would
so
be bad
cute.
and it would be disgusting.
That's hilarious.
Same with a little bit of the mustache. The mustache was coming in so big, in such a big way, pre-shaving it, and it's just not coming back.
Okay.
So
Fair.
we'll see about that.
Okay. Tea time.
Did you somebody commented on our TikTok with Mal, and was like, "Oh my God, is that, I forget the character's name from Under My Skin? Is that the film you were in?"
Yeah,
Someone was like, "Oh my God, is this, what was your character's name?"
Denny.
Yeah, someone
Yeah.
someone goes, "Oh my God, is this Denny from
Oh my God,
Under
no
My
way."
Skin?" Yeah.
That's funny,
I was
because I had a massive high top in that film, and then like shaved it in the film, but I look very different, I think.
Yeah. Well, you got recognized.
Oh, cute.
That's cool.
What a beautiful film.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Tea time. Do you have anything else
No,
for tea time?
I think
for
that's
you?
it. It's slow going, so just the pause.
Yeah. Do you have egg updates?
Oh, I don't. But I've decided. Okay, so the sperm journey is just so tough and so long. So even if we find the exact right guy, which we're still working on,
I was gonna say, how's Sperm King going?
Yeah, Sperm King is he's going well. We're still like in discussions, and so I reached out to like 10 more guys.
Okay.
But I realized that even if we find right now the guy that we want, there's like a 3 to 4 month process of getting his sperm and doing all this stuff, and like it's holding me back from everything. So I decided that I'm just gonna get my eggs out as is.
Okay.
And then do the insemination after, and just like so be it,
Okay.
So I'm gonna do that before the end of the year, so that I can start.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm excited, so I can start.
Congrats.
I mean, I'm scared a little bit because I don't want to get knocked out again.
It's a big old thing. Well, outside of, I mean, I don't want to scare you anymore, but outside of that, there's a whole hormone thing you have to do.
I know.
You have to kind of go in like every day. Are you going to go to the place I sent you?
Yes.
Cool.
I believe it's that place. Yeah.
You seemed really cool and like down with trans stuff.
Yeah, that's what I need. But yeah, so I'm a bit nervous about that, and also they happen to be straight cis female friends that have said this, but they've had their eggs out, and they're like, yeah, like they're sort of scaring me a bit. They're like, my hormones were all over the place. I was super emotional. My heart was beating really fast when I afterwards, and I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. I'm like, listen, I don't need this. My panic attacks are 10. They're like 10% away from like coming with that sort of thing,
Yeah.
So I'm worried about it from that perspective.
Yeah. I have a friend who works in fertility who recently told me some stuff about it that I'm not going to say now because it'll just make you more anxious.
Go on, you have to.
And I'll be speaking out of my ass because it's like all relayed drunkenly from a friend who happens. Just that, like, because it's so new, like egg retrieval and stuff. Listen, I'm not a doctor. Please, everybody fact check me on this. Do not take this. Caveat. This person told me that like some of the first women who were like some of the first to have done egg retrieval when they were younger now have like prolapsed uteruses, and that like in the process they have to enlarge all of your eggs to get them out. So even the ones that don't end up getting taken out, you have enlarged eggs, which it wouldn't really matter for you because it would only matter if somebody naturally impregnated you. They'd be impregnating this enlarged egg, but I don't think
what
you're
does that
gonna
mean
have that
if
problem.
they're impregnating a large egg?
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe someone can tell us.
And that, I guess like the hormones and stuff. It's just because it is such a new thing
Totally.
that I guess now they're finally seeing how it affects you when you're older. But so many people have done it. So it's like, I don't want to make you scared.
No, that doesn't scare me as much, to be honest.
Okay.
The heart thing scares me. I was very excited to talk to you about breath work.
Oh, okay. Wait, are you going to report back to me about something?
What do you mean?
What? Never mind.
Wait,
Never
now
mind.
you have to say it. What do you mean?
Because last episode we were talking with Mal about breathing through your mouth when you're eating pussy.
gosh.
I thought you were going to be like, oh, I have something to tell you.
No way. I didn't even think about that.
No,
No.
sorry.
So
Okay.
listen, okay, I'm going to just tell you quickly.
Okay.
So I went to this retreat, this founders retreat thing. And when I was there, they had this breathwork session. And basically we just had to like lie on our backs and breathe. But I know that sounds so stupid, but like in and out of your mouth in like rapid succession. And then they were doing lots of different things, like think about this, relax, do, imagine, lots of visualization and stuff like that. And honestly, it was like fucking orgasmic.
Oh.
Truly. Like there was so much like energy running through my body. And I felt like before I went into the room, I was feeling a little bit like sluggish and a bit dead below the waist and just a bit like, and then afterwards I came out and I had all this like sexual energy. And then when I Googled it, it was like, yeah, this is like, I guess it's like tantric sort of, this like breathwork sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I was so surprised by it. And so I was like, why isn't this more it probably is well known. Everyone's going to be like, everyone knows about this. I didn't know about it.
Yeah.
But I was going to ask you, have you ever done breathwork before or any sort of like tantric thing apart from the pussy thing?
No. In
breathing
fact,
out of your mouth?
No. In fact, sometimes I straight up forget to breathe. Like I'll be sitting here here on this couch and I'll be like, I forgot to breathe for a second.
Oh shit, that's the opposite.
I'm not good at it. My friend Irina has this book about breath work, and because I'm a mouth breather, which I'm hearing is a bad thing, and that how good I think just like if I had to think about how I breathe, I'm like mouth.
You're breathing out your mouth. Interesting.
But it's healthier, I think, to do it through your nose, especially when it comes to like exercise and stuff like that.
Yeah.
No, I've never done breath work. I tried to do that when I was in like therapy and group therapy for my panic attacks, because breathing is such an important tool to be able to de-escalate a panic. And so in that way I've done it, where I'm like being very intentional about breaths, but never in an orgasmic way. I sometimes actually I have the opposite. I have to
hold your breath.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Not that I have to, but it makes it better.
I think you're talking about like asphyxiation and strangling.
I am.
Okay, great. That's different. This is not where I thought this conversation was going to go.
Okay.
But I feel like if everyone wasn't in the room and I was completely by myself, I probably could have orgasmed just with breath.
What?
Yeah.
For how long?
The orgasm?
No.
I don't know. I did not do it.
No. How long?
How long was the session?
Yeah.
It was like 30 minutes. So like not a quick orgasm.
And you're not like thinking about sex?
I was not thinking about sex. I was just thinking about breathing and doing but I think it's because it was like activating my body in a certain way. I don't know. Can someone tell us
so
what
what's
was
the
going
deal?
on?
Are you like imagining the air, the oxygen coming through your, like, is it one of those things where you're like lay there and imagine it getting circulated to your fingertips and then?
No, it's like you're really focusing on your breath to like your lower belly, and it's like really intense. It's not like a slow relaxed breath. It's like you're doing this like really intense thing.
You're doing like ayahuasca without the ayahuasca.
Yeah, it's like intense. And so and to be honest, when we first started it, the first like 30 seconds, I was like, am I going to give myself a panic attack? This is like a lot. But then you get through that, and then you go through these cycles of like, oh, I feel really good, or I feel a bit weird. And then you have like releases. And then by the end of it, I was like, I probably, if I really relax into it, which I can't because there's 30 other people in the room, I could probably orgasm. And then when I Googled it after, I was like, yeah, this is like a thing. I mean, some people like break down crying. Yeah. Like there's like trauma releases. There's like all this stuff.
I think you're opening a chakra or something. Yeah, is what happens.
Probably. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so interesting. I saw a TikTok the other day of this. This is related, I promise. This TikTok of this girl doing this like funny dance, like and she's just like moving her hips and something. And she's like, oh, I love dancing this way, and she's being very goofy. She's like very goofy with it.
Everyone look at Motti now.
And and she's like kind of doing like the opening the gate movement, in exercise, and she's like opening her hips, and she takes one step, and she's like dancing and laughing, and then she starts like crying. And like she's like, oh my God, I'm like having like a fit, like an emotional fit. And she's like starts crying, and then she's laughing again. And everyone in the comments is like, not you accidentally opening your blah, blah, blah chakra. And like I looked it up and I'm like, yeah, the way to open you like open up your pelvis and like something
No
happened,
way.
and everyone's like, you just accidentally like accessed your chakra and like now you're having an emotional fit about it.
No way.
Yeah, I thought it was so funny.
That is hilarious.
Listen, transparently, and I don't mean this usually I'm like, what the fuck is like chakra, what?
Right.
But I'm like, I don't know, maybe there's some legitimacy to this stuff.
I feel like there absolutely is. I felt something for sure, and it made me want to explore it more, but I don't know anything about it.
Are you gonna work that into your bedroom? Like, are you interested in achieving orgasm through this?
I mean,
do you like how I said that, achieving orgasm?
Yeah, of course, in a sexually intimate moment. You know what it is? Like, I think if M was on this, if my girlfriend, was on this, my partner, oh fuck, I don't know. I think if my partner was on this podcast right now, she would say that she is very interested in exploring all of these different like avenues of intimacy. I feel like I'm a little bit more like just
give me a hand job. Yeah.
I'm just a bit more like, we know how it works, we can get it done, that's great. And so to be honest, it feels like she's gonna have to really force me out my comfort zone to do that. Like, I liked it in that one moment, it was interesting, but like, am I gonna like lie in bed for 40 minutes while she lies next to me and like do this and that? Like, I'm just not gonna fucking do that.
Maybe one day though.
Yeah. How about you? Would you do that? You
Maybe.
feel much more like exploratory.
Maybe. I don't know that I could get there. I don't feel like I could mentally get there. I think it'd probably be a good breathing exercise, but I don't think I could achieve orgasm.
You need a strangle.
I'll try anything with. Yeah.
You need a hard strangle.
Yeah. I need like a plastic bag over. No, I'm just. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. That's a good learning.
Yeah.
I do need to do some kind of breath work stuff though.
Yeah, if you're not
outside
breathing,
of
then
sex.
just out of hours. So you probably should do it. We should try it.
Much to learn.
Okay.
I would love to do this advice. Sorry, I have a call with an important call in 8 minutes. So if we could do
let's
this.
do the advice thing. Do you want to read it out? Shall I read it out?
Yes. I think you should do it because you have a beautiful voice.
Okay, so thank you. Reminding everybody that you can send in good boy advice questions, and we received a beautiful one, and I'm going to read it out. Okay, so I'm just going to skip to the meat. I got top surgery about 5 months ago, and first let me say I love my chest. Like, what the hell? Living pre-top surgery was such a scam. Agree. My chest was definitely my largest source of dysphoria, and having a double mastectomy has been so amazing. That said, I'm not on testosterone because I figured that getting top surgery would take care of most of the discomfort and dysphoria. Over the past month or so, I've been getting these awful nightmares, stress dreams, that are basically just me living life but filled with dysphoric feelings. Like, I'll just be hanging around or with friends in the dream, and then suddenly I look down and I have boobs again. Or someone will stare at my cleavage and I look down but I don't have boobs, but then the other dream person is saying something weird like, just because you got top surgery doesn't mean that you don't have cleavage, or you still look like a girl to me. Or dream me will just be doing something mundane, and then I'll look in the mirror and I'll see that my hair is long and feminine again. I've been shaving my head since 2020. And dream me will be like, I really gotta cut my hair again, which in retrospect is so ridiculous and funny that I'm laughing while typing it. But in the moment of the dreams, it feels so terrible. Yeah, for sure. I've been thinking a lot recently about starting a low dose of tea, but I'm just not sure. There are some aspects of it that I'd be excited for, but also some I'm not crazy about. I'm wondering if you think, are the dreams my subconscious trying to make me realize that just top surgery wasn't enough? Or is my brain just processing being perceived differently by others and by myself after so many years? Did either of you have any issues post-top surgery with how you perceive others perceiving you? Oh my God, that's such a good question.
It's a great question. I have so many thoughts. Can
Please.
I kick it off?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so obviously, again, not dream analyzers, not psychologists, putting that out there. First of all, I'm glad you can laugh about it, because it does feel like that's terrifying in the moment while you're asleep, and then also terrifying to wake up like that. Like, that is genuinely a nightmare. Being perceived as a human being in general a nightmare. So I don't think it's like crazy that you're dreaming about perception, especially after such you've altered your body and you've done this big thing. So just to talk about my personal experience, I always told myself I'm not going to do anything about HRT until after I get top surgery, because it very well may be the case that the top surgery will cure all of the dysphoria stuff. I decided, I think I started T. I got top surgery at the end of January and I started T at the beginning of April. So I gave it like 3 or so months. And I did decide at the end of the day, okay, it didn't cure everything. Not to say that HRT is going to cure, like, T's not going to cure it. At the end of the day, you're always going to have these feelings, but I did decide, and I put a lot of thought, a lot of research, and a lot of doctor's appointments behind the decision to start HRT. And so I have a trans doctor who gave me this whole informed consent thing. I made sure I knew everything there is to know about going on T that's available before I did it. So I do think, do all of those things, do all the research, talk to people who, I talked to so many of my friends who have been on T for as little as a month before me to like 17 years before me. And like, I got all of the medical research and then all of like the personal research. And I decided it was the best thing for me. In terms of the dream stuff, specifically the question of like, do you think my subconscious is talking to me? I do think that. I don't know what I don't know if it's telling you to start T or if it's just telling you like, hey, you've made this change and things are going to be weird for a while. I wanted to share a story of a dream that I had that really helped me. So my senior year of college, I still was not out as queer. I was just like cis straight girl. And I was in a relationship, a really toxic relationship for 3 years. And we were long distance at the time. He had graduated, so he was back home. And so I was like in college by myself without my boyfriend. And things were like particularly bad with him. And I was having recurring nightmares that I was being hunted, chased, run down. Like it was always like, it would be a different thing or a person chasing me, but it was either always like some kind of sci-fi monster, or it was the FBI, or it was like a serial. There was always just some villain that was chasing me in some capacity. And it was truly like action, it was action movie things where like I'm running through people's apartments and then out their window and then climbing their fire escape and jumping on building roofs and running, like that kind of being chased, or I was hiding. And I was like, okay, I've got to Google, like it happened enough times. Every time I went to bed, I was having that dream. And so I Googled it. It was like, what does it mean when I'm having dreams about being chased or hunted? And it was like, you are running away from a truth. There's a truth. You're running away from something that needs to happen or needs to be said or whatever. And in my head, I'm like, I'm in this toxic ass relationship. I need to break up with him. And for other reasons too, I knew it was time to break up with him. I break up with him. The nightmares don't stop. And I'm like, what the hell? Like I did what I was supposed to do. Like I did the thing. This was the truth I was running away from, because I knew for the longest time I needed to break up with him.
Right.
They did not stop until I came out as queer publicly.
No way.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
And as soon as I did, they stopped. So I do think that there's power to your subconscious is telling you something in your dreams. I do think that. So I think work through that in some way. I'm not saying what the solution is. But I do think like that was such a wild experience for me. And so I just figured I'd share that because I was having those for probably an entire semester of college. I was having those nightmares and it was horrifying. And it did not stop until I spoke out loud. I'm queer, I'm gay, whatever I was using at the time.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
That's so powerful.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I agree with you. Again, not a psychologist, not anything. I agree with you that dreams can show you something, tell you something about how you're feeling. I've often had dreams though where I'm just like, what was that? Or like, I don't know, like maybe I'm just feeling anxious in the day. Yeah. And so I have some sort of anxiety trip in my dream, but it actually isn't, it's what I'm worried about, not the thing that I want, you know? But I will say quickly about the top surgery, post-top surgery, what I did feel after, I kept waking up and having an immediate panic of having no breasts. in the morning, even though I was super, super happy with my top surgery. And I think that like just the absolute change, like it's such a change in your body, and definitely how you believe you're being perceived, that it just takes a bit of time to settle in almost. And I think that we're often scared to talk about that because we want, you know, trans people to be like, everything's perfect after you know. And I think ultimately it took me personally, in my experience, a bit of time to just settle into my new physical self, and that's cool, you know. So
you're also healing, like the
oh
healing takes, like, I think I'm like, oh, I'm healed, it's been, you know, 9 months, but it's like actually like I'm gonna be healing for the next couple of years, like
yeah, absolutely,
it's a long thing.
Definitely.
Also, this person said that they were in their early 20s.
Did they?
I thought maybe at the top, but I could be making that up.
I don't see it.
Well, let's say this person's 25, just for like, so this person's probably living for at least 12, 11 years, been living with boobs, a chest.
Yeah.
And you've only been living 5 months without them. So just think of like data alone in terms of what you're used to and what you're not used to. That's gonna give some kind of cognitive fucked upness of like, I'm so used to the living this one way and now life's that way. So like give yourself grace in that as well.
Totally. And if you have, you know, relatively large breasts, or even if you don't, or have some sort of cleavage, like you are being perceived often by men in a certain way, and then all of a sudden that goes away overnight. And of course that can be good, but it can also just be you are being perceived in a completely different way. Totally. Which can be jarring in itself. It's like, who am I walking through life, you know? Yeah,
I had G's. This person had double D's. I had G's, and it certainly was like a startling difference.
Wild.
Yeah.
Thank you
I would
so much.
Yeah, thanks for this person writing that in. I mean, like, maybe like you can even Google, like, I'm sure there's like, I hate to send someone to Reddit blind, but like you might find good information on like FTM subreddit, which is like what a lot of my trans friends tell me to go to that. Sit with it for a while, do your research on tea. Like, it very well may be that you want to start tea, but I can't make that decision for you. But maybe that is what it is. Maybe there's a part of you that might miss some of the things that were happening when you had a chest or when you were being perceived as a woman, because sometimes that happens, and so you could just be kind of mourning that.
Totally. I felt it was a very complex understanding, but I was like, do I feel as attractive as I felt before? Because less people are like looking at me in the street, but it's just because, you know, different people are looking at me in the street, or, you know, or in a less, they're looking at me in a less obvious way. Men perceive you in a very specific way, you know. Which can be like weirdly jarring for your like confidence and how you're feeling day to day, you know. Also, like the top surgery is not gonna cure the so like full stop. Like maybe that could also be it. Maybe these dreams could be your subconscious like reconciling with the fact that you might have had higher expectations for how affirmed you'd feel after top surgery. Totally. And reality's not quite meeting that, and so you're kind of having this like internal panic of like, well, I thought this was gonna have this kind of outcome and it hasn't, and so does this mean I'm a girl? Does this mean I'm like my hair's gonna grow? Like if the top surgery didn't fix it, then like, I don't know, you could be panicking for that reason. Totally. I think the time heals all. Give yourself some time and grace. Yeah, absolutely. But thank you so much for sending that beautiful question in. Yeah. Keep them coming. We love them. Yeah, and if you're someone who's listening to this and you've had similar things and you're now on the other end of it where you're not having those dreams anymore and stuff, and you have advice, write it in and we can read it out for that person. Yeah, that would post it somewhere. That'd be dope. Yeah. Fantastic. Cool. Thank you so much. Good boy, Motti. Good boy, Kylo.